800 values for your every human being. Consciousness, structure, and energy. 503. Consciousness, structure, and energy are the three elements that make up the universe. 504. Consciousness decides existence. Different consciousness will lead to different forms of life and existence and living conditions. 505. A person with an imperfect self is absolutely impossible to have a perfect consciousness. A person with imperfect consciousness is absolutely impossible to make correct judgment on things. The combined wisdom of three cobblers can never match that of a master strategist. The thinking of the multitude can never equal the great vision and the insight of a saint. Democracy has always been the pursuit of people with mediocre wisdom, the magical weapon they employ to maintain their conservativeness, and the hidden weapon to strangle things. 506. Different consciousness form different structures, and different structures make use of different kinds of energy. 507. There is nothing impossible. The only limit is the capability of consciousness and the transforming power of thinking. 508. Consciousness originates from structure and acts on structure. Energy is neutral. Energy comes and goes with the changes of structures. Consciousness comes from non-material structure. Different non-material structures give birth to different consciousness. We can perceive the differences between trees, flowers, and grass, insects, fish, birds, and beasts, mountains, rivers, sun and moon, and men, celestial beings, Buddha and gods. The differences between them lie in their different structures, or rather in their different consciousness. 509. The greater the energy, the more invisible a thing will be. The smaller the energy, the more tangible a thing will be. 510. All substances have consciousness. 511. The differences between different life forms lie in the differences of consciousnesses and structures. 512. The bewilderment of self comes from the bewilderment of one's consciousness. The bewilderment of life results from the disorder of one's consciousness. Our sufferings mainly derive from the sufferings of our consciousnesses. All our uncertainties are rooted in our indefinite consciousnesses, in our failure to understand ourselves, and in our failure to understand what we really need. 513. Most of man's sufferings, frustrations, anger, enmity, disappointment, desperation, and other negative and passive feelings originate from the consciousness of the small self. This is my family, this is my whom and whom, this is my what and what. Such consciousnesses are points of soul, which may have a damaging and a devastating impact on ourselves. If we have to deal with the endless and fussy troubles month after month and year on year, then we had better step out of the consciousnesses of the small self and walk towards heaven. 514. What is most powerful and vigorous is not the exterior, but is hidden in our consciousness. 515. When the self is perfect, then there will be no tidy thinking, and there will be no opposites like truth and falsity, kindness and weakness, beauty and ugliness, and good and evil. Then the thinking will be non-form thinking. The consciousness will be holographic. Everything will blend naturally with everything else and become syncretic with Tao. 516. Let's take a look at water. It will take the form of any container in which it is held. Whether it is round or square depends on the container. Man also possesses this property. Different generals will lead to soldiers of different fighting capacities. Different environments will foster different kinds of men. When you are close to the mountain, you will be familiar with the twittering of birds. If you live beside the water, you will have a good knowledge of fishes. One takes on the color of one's company. If you associate with saints, you will have agile thinking, sudden enlightenment, and transcendence over the vulgarity. If you often mix in with ladies, you will have prejudiced thinking, contention, and vulgar interests. 517. You should first have a thought before you can have a solution. If your thought has changed, everything will follow the change. When you are clear about your great wish, your intelligence and capability will be infinitely promoted. 518. Man's brain is used not only to store knowledge but also to do thinking. 519. The highest realm of thinking for man is association, for celestial being is visualization, for Buddha is non-form, and for God is holography. 520. The highest realm of thinking is holographic thinking. It is the thinking of the greatest creator, or it can also be called the thinking of God, which is unimaginable to ordinary people. Buddha Shakyamuni has attained non-form thinking. Lao Tzu has achieved Taiji thinking. Muhammad has reached visualized thinking. Zhuge Liang, Einstein, and the like have achieved associative thinking. Artists like Beethoven has reached image thinking, and the common populace is capable of material thinking. Some prophets, witches, rabbis, astrologists, fortune tellers, people with extrasensory perception, and religious believers possess elusive thinking. 521. The greatest feature of elusive thinking is that every small step is a step forward, but will finally retrace to the base point, and that every idea is thought to be correct, but will return to the starting point after a big circle. 522. There is a secret of life in visualized thinking. With visualized thinking, one can understand the great way of life and will find the path to a higher order of life space and escape the bondage of time and space. Once we have understood the profundity of visualized thinking, we may be moved to tears and tremble with excitement.